So we finally reached the 6th episode of BlazBlue Alter Memory. Holy crap, we're halfway done. We're actually halfway done with the review and breakdown. Only 6 more episodes to go. Oh my god, dude. Never thought I'd make it this far, but hell, here we go. So let's begin with the review and breakdown of episode 6 of BlazBlue Alter Memory. So the episode begins with Ragnar fighting off this mysterious blonde version of Nu. He then runs off as the girl chases after him, knocking back some of her attacks and clashing blades with her. Before the girl could attack Ragnar again, she stops in her tracks and calls out Ragnar's name, with a shocked Kokonoe wondering if she, her name is Lambda by the way, still has bits of Nu 13's memories still in her. Kokonoe later has Tager take Lambda back and the two leave. Kokonoe wonders if the reason that Lambda has Nu's memories within her is because of the quote-unquote life link. Meanwhile, Jin is still chasing down Ragnar until he is approached by a mysterious ninja who introduces himself as Bang Shishigami, and that the scar on his face was because of Jin. Jin remembers that he has fought Bang back at Ikaraga and the two battle with Bang defeating Jin in one hit. Bang then realizes that Jin was already injured prior to the fight due to him bleeding. Elsewhere, a saddened Noelle was heartbroken that she was finally getting closer to Ragnar, only for him to reject her once again, but she snaps back to focusing on saving Jin and Tsubaki. She notices Lychee walking ahead of her and guesses that Jin had stopped by her clinic in order to get healed. Watching the fireworks, Noelle wonders if it is for New Year's and flashes back to a small encounter with Lin-Hua. Noelle asks for Lin-Hua, but Lin-Hua says that she has nothing to say to a person from the library. Jin later awakens bandaged up with Lychee and Bang over him. Lychee had placed him under a paralysis spell, with Jin saying that Bang could easily strike him down right now and claim his revenge since he's utterly defenseless. Bang denies Jin's offer, telling him that there isn't any point of taking a life of a wounded enemy and would rather have Jin back at 100% so they could fight fairly. After Bang leaves the room, Lychee tells Jin that Bang is a quote-unquote bounty hunter of love and justice, with Jin remarking on what kind of justice a bounty hunter even believes in. Lychee says that Jin's life was spared by a bounty hunter who claimed that Jin was his greatest enemy. Jin later says that normal treatment is primitive, as now healing with Ars Magus is more expedient. Lychee then says while it's easier, it does have costs, though Jin tells Lychee that she would know more about that than anyone. The next morning, Tsubaki bribes a produce vendor with money in order for him to spill information. Elsewhere, Ragnar remembers Trinity's words on not to fight Terumi under any circumstances, as he cannot fight him now with the current state of the Azure Grimoire, or else he will die. Bang talks of the tranquility in the area, with him offering to take Jin around to see the sights. Jin accepts and the two head off. While traveling, Bang and Jin encounter children who immediately see Jin as a threat, with one of them expressing anger on how the NOL took Ikaraga and his father's life. Bang says that while they lost a lot of loved ones and lost their homes, they should smile and show that they really didn't lose anything. Jin calls Bang a hypocrite for telling the kids to not take revenge on the ones lost, while Bang says that he doesn't want the children to go through the same path of revenge like him and shoulder that pain for the rest of their lives. Bang leaves Jin, telling him that he really isn't a threat due to being so injured. After Bang leaves, Tsubaki meets up with Jin. Jin notices Tsubaki's outfit, and she tells him that she volunteered due to her being a member of the Yayoi family in the Duodecim and glory to the Imperator. Jin asks Tsubaki on why she would stain her hands in the wings of justice, but Tsubaki simply tells Jin that he is charged with insubordination as well as having gone AWOL from the hospital he was in. Tsubaki attempts to convince Jin to return willingly, but Jin denies her, saying he has something to do, with Tsubaki saying if that's something he has to do involves Ragnar the Bloodedge. An angry Ragnar decides that he is going to take down all of the Prime Fields who used the face of his sister, but then he starts remembering his times with Noelle and telling himself that it doesn't matter. Back at Tsubaki and Jin, she unleashes the sealed armament, now sealed Armagus, Izayoi, with a shocked Jin yelling at her for what she's wielding. Tsubaki deploys a barrier and says that she doesn't have much time left, telling Jin that she's been given an Imperial order to kill him and she's only following orders. Tsubaki says that killing Jin is the last thing she wants to do, but Jin tells her to stop using the Easy-Ori or it'll steal her quote-unquote light. Jin reaches for Yukiansa, first time the name was mentioned, and that's by me, but he wasn't able to draw the blade, with Jin wondering why the sword won't obey him. Before Tsubaki can do anything else, Hazuma's voice rings through, enforcing that killing Jin is an imperial order, and her eyes goes blank, stabbing Jin straight through with the Easy-Ori and killing him, with Tsubaki telling herself that she didn't want this. Up high, Takamagahara claimed that having the power of order die might lead to the end of the world, so they decide to eliminate the event distortion, rewinding time back to the moment before Bang left Jin. This time, however, Jin leaves with Bang. Meanwhile, Hazuma says that he wasn't aware of do-overs, but saving Jin doesn't really matter to him in the first place, since it doesn't mess with his plans. Kokonoe tells Lambda to sleep well because she needs her idea engine in order to take down Terumi. Bang later tells Jin to leave, as he figured that a member of the NOL was hunting him down. I honestly don't know how he knew that, but whatever, as fighting him with a blade that cannot be used isn't honorable. Bang also says that it might not be the blade that's the problem, but Jin himself. Bang speaks about his master and how Jin had the same eyes he did when he fought Bang's master. Meanwhile, Tsubaki arrives to another city and runs into Noel, ending off the episode. Now, my overall thoughts for the episode. Oh my god, I don't know, but I felt like this episode ran a little bit longer than it had to. But I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Once again, they start just throwing terminology around without having really any, stake to it. Lambda first shows up, and I feel like that would be appropriate. Ragnar fighting Lambda, whatnot. Kokonoe then mentions her name and says that new... Okay, the thing that I don't like is the fact that they have, like, Lambda saying, oh, well, she has news memories with her because of lifelink. First of all, I'm just going to be a big spoiler alert here. The lifelink is mentioned in this series, but it doesn't have really a big stake in the actual plot. Like, don't get me wrong, it didn't really have it in the original BlazBlue games either, but just having it mentioned and having this Lambda girl now has news memories is a weird thing, because, for a first-time viewer would expect that, okay, this is a new version of New, is this a new model or whatever? No, it's a completely separate person, and I feel like people will be like, I can imagine the person watching Ultimate for the first time being confused as hell, like, oh my god. Bang is introduced in this episode, and I don't really have a problem with Bang. He's actually more subdued and more mature in this version, rather than him being his, loud, boisterous self in the games, and I don't know how to even feel about that, because, like, Bang's essentially the same character, he's just a lot more subdued and quiet. But I'd rather have that than barely any Bang at all. I don't want him to meet the same fate as characters like Arcana, Carl, or Platinum, and they don't get no screen time whatsoever. At least Bang survives the whole episode, at least he sticks around. Where was I? Oh yeah, one thing I do, I admit this, one thing I do like about Alter Memory is that they're placing more emphasis on Noel and Ragnar's relationship, which I kind of like. It's not the worst thing. They're kind of playing up that relationship for a bit, so I kind of give Alter Memory props for that, because in the original games they really they had the characters around, but they didn't really have them do much. Ragnar and Noel hanging together or something like that, or just getting closer, really wasn't that much of a major thing. And Calamity Trigger and Continuum Shift, so I kind of like it here. That's one of the one things you'll hear me say positive about Alter Memory. I will say that one positive thing about Alter Memory, and you'll never want to hear me say it again. Anyway, Jin has more of a heart-to-heart with Bang and stuff like that. Lychee seems relatively useless in the episode. Like, one thing I just don't like about Lychee is that they're using her just for straight-up fan service reasons. And, like, literally, like, it's always either mentioning something about her or, quote-unquote cleavage, or seeing her chest move around a bit. Like, you all use, like, it's like she's being used just for fan service reasons, and she's a fan service like character in the games, but every scene is her is just something, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of that. Seeing Tsubaki freaking bribe someone in an animated form is kind of funny though. Just seeing her with a stack of money trying to hand to someone, I don't know. I don't know why, but it just sounds funny to me. seeing Jin kind of bond with Bang, it's not really a bond, but seeing Jin hang with Bang was actually kind of cool. That's the one thing I like about this episode. Tsubaki showing up and her being controlled by the Imperator, but like the one thing I don't like is that since they kind of had to rush more of Tsubaki trying to convince Jin, they kind of had to get that quickly out of the way. So, I mean, they got Tsubaki hesitating at certain moments to not do this. She didn't really want to do it, and then she was later controlled, you know, to do so. So, I can't really fault Ultramarine for that one. That's what happens in the game anyways. So yeah, Jin dies. Takuma Heart kind of rewinds time, which is the first time they like not even joking here. This is the first time, like in all the episodes, they actually put more emphasis on the looping of time or rewinding time. You know, like they actually is like, okay, and Takuma Heart is like now like, oh well, shit. Oh man, Jin's dead, but we better rerun the clock. That's the first time they actually like put like any kind of emphasis on it. They talked about it a lot, but never really did anything in regards to it. And like Rachel Hosma, they talk about all time looping, time change, time this, time can move forward, but they really never did anything with it. Now it shows that Takuma Gahara is capable of, you know, messing with time now, which it took 6 episodes to get here. Like, come on. Like, shit! It took 6 episodes to get that kind of emphasis. But anyway, there's some more mention about, like, they mentioned Ikarga and how the NOL fought back Ikarga and took that away, but they really didn't do much in a way of trying to emphasize how bad the NOL screwed over Takuma Gahara. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Ikarga, getting the words mixed around. They really didn't put that much emphasis on how NOL messed with Ikarga because, you know, you only have one episode to talk about things, and it only mentioned that, like, okay, the NOL raised Ikarga. Apparently, Bang's master has something to do with it, but they didn't really mention that much. Like this is like the only time you ever get Ikarga really mentioned, and then all you get is Jin talking about, oh yeah, we fought Ikarga once. It's cool. Like we're already supposed to know this shit. I wish it was like Jin playing not playing, but like acting like, oh, yeah, I don't remember you. Shit, who the hell are you? Like, I would have liked that better than rather Jin just remember, because now it's confusing as hell. But yeah, like having Jin, like for the first time, get Yuki Onsa mentioned. Like the thing about what gets me is that they're slowly mentioning things like the Nox, for example. Takumi Kazuchi was the very first Nox mentioned. Bulwark they didn't mention was one of the Noxes. Muchorin, which, well, I mean, it was mentioned as a Nox, but they you didn't actually see Muchorin. You only saw the bell, and you didn't actually see Muchorin. And what I find weird is that when in this episode, actually, when Platinum left the restaurant, she had Muchorin wrapped behind her. So I don't get how the freaking bell had anything to do with the Muchorins, but whatever. And then, you know, they don't mention Yuki Onsa being a Nox. They just mention Yuki Onsa just as a sword. Like, and this is the first time, as again in 6th episode, we know Jin since the first episode using his blade and whatnot, and he hasn't yet to mention the name Yuki Onsa until now. And now apparently it won't obey him because, you know, Jin's doubting himself and whatnot. But yeah, that's the episode. It wasn't terrible, but like there's some dumb decisions and weird choices, but it wasn't completely bad. I wish they went, you know, I already know all this shit. Don't get me wrong. I know all this BlazBlue terminology and shit, but like, they never really mentioned the word library before, right? And, you know, they didn't actually explain what the NOL really is. They never said the whole name. They just say the NOL. So they never actually say what the name is, the Novus Orbis Librarium. They never actually said that outright. So hearing Lin Hua say the library is confusing because you don't know why the NOL is called the library. You don't know why. Like who are they the same people or whatever? But like, you know, you could guess they are, but you don't know why they're called a library, or if anybody ever mentions the word library before, who the hell they are. Because Lin Hua is the first person who mentioned that. It sounds minor, but it really goes a long way of trying to figure out like what the hell, like, because you don't know what the NOL even is at this point. All you know is that there's this big organization that took down Ikarga. That's all you know, and they got offices and shit. That's literally all you know about the NOL so far, and you know, that's it. And they're officers, and they have the Wings of Justice and, you know, enforcement units. So the NOL is being like, I mean, the NOL is played up like that, and Calamity Trigger and Continuum Shift for their players being the quote unquote bad guys. But damn, you're just throwing out shit without explaining it. But whatever, I'm out of here, guys. I'll see y'all next time. This has been a long enough video. Peace.